Good morning, my friends. Welcome to our New Testament challenge. Today I'm going to be sharing with you some thoughts and reflections from the second chapter of the Gospel of John, John chapter 2. There are really only two stories in the second chapter of John. It's a rather short chapter. The first one deals with the wedding at Cana. Um, and so this is really almost, and it says this, the first sign that Jesus gave that he had the authority and the power that he had. And so they were at this wedding, and his mother comes to him and says, "Hey, you know, they're out of wine." And part of the reason that was important uh, was that for a couple, a wedding was a major social event, and oftentimes would set your status for years to come. And so to run out of wine says that you didn't prepare, that you were cheap, and that it was a major deal. Um, and so Mary wanted Jesus to help them, take care of this, and Jesus, and the English translation doesn't do it justice here. He says, "Woman." And when we hear that, we think Jesus just being very disrespectful. But no, that's not how it sounded. He was just saying, um, you know, it's not time for me, you know. But then I love how Mary responds, and kind of like mothers everywhere, She kind of assumed, she did not hear that. She looked past it and said, "Here, y'all do whatever he says." And I can just see Jesus. Okay, here we go. And so he takes the jars that are used for purification. There's some symbolism there. And these are 20, 30-gallon jars, big old jars. Fill them up, and then had the wedding steward come and take some out. And, the water was changed. And he called the groom over and says, "Hey, listen, most people use the good wine first, and then when everybody's drunk, they bring in the cheap stuff. But you've outdone yourself. You had good stuff, but now you bring in the best stuff." And so, where he could have again ruined his reputation, all of a sudden it flopped, and now people would remember that wedding for years to come. That he had set the standard so high. And he said Jesus did this, the first of the signs, and revealed his glory, and his disciples believed in him. Now you just got to think about this. The disciples, they felt called to him, but again, there was a lot of understanding they had to go through before they truly understood who. A lot of thinking and just processing and stuff to go through before they could really understand who Jesus was and exactly what he did. And so, but it shows each step along the way that they believed that he was somebody special. And so he went to Capernaum after that. And when the Passover was there, and Jesus went on up to Jerusalem. Now, a little different here. In the other Gospels, the cleansing of the temple is done at the very end of his ministry. Here, we have it at the very beginning. Again, it happened. That's the important thing. For John, again, it's about showing Jesus' authority, that he does have the power, that, talking about changing water into wine. He did this sign, and then he goes and he cares for the temple, and it shows that he has that connection with God. And he says he went and he made a whip of cords, and he drove out all of them, both the sheep and the cattle and the coins of the money changers, and he overturned, stop making my father's house a marketplace. And his disciples remembered that was written, zeal for your house will consume me. And the Jews said, what sign can you give us for doing these things? And Jesus answered, destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it again. And they said, this temple's taken 46 years to build. How in the world are you going to do that? But Jesus wasn't talking about the building. He was talking about his body. And after, again, this is one of those things, he kind of planting seeds. And after he died and was raised again, his disciples remembered that he had said this. Now he says, when he was in Jerusalem during the Passover festival, many believed in him because they saw the signs he was doing. But Jesus, on his part, would not entrust himself to them because he knew people. People came for the show because he was doing, he was interesting. And there's a difference between believing that this man is interesting and believing he is the Son of God. People came out to see John the Baptist because he was a wild-haired man and he, it was mesmerizing. But although many did believe, many just came to watch the show. And so Jesus understood this. He understood that people were going to come out and were just intrigued by something new and something different. But being intrigued did not necessarily equate to belief. And so we have that kind of statement here. He understood. And again, there's another little hint about who Jesus was and how he approached humanity and what authority and power he had and what knowledge he had. He understood human beings. He understood how we think, how we acted. And so he planned his ministry accordingly. He could have had thousands of disciples, but instead he had just a few dozen. He kept it close, the people he could trust, the people he knew truly understood what was going on. So hopefully this has been helpful for you. Take care, my friends, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.